One sunny morning, the queen bee gathered everyone for an important announcement. "My dear bees," she buzzed, her voice echoing through the honeycomb halls, "our nectar reserves are running low. The nearby fields are almost bare. We must all work harder and fly farther to find new sources of food to sustain our colony." The bees buzzed in agreement, ready for the challenge. Buzzy listened with wide eyes. This was her chance to truly help her family. She felt a thrill of determination. She would find the best, most nectar-filled flowers in the whole wide world. With a determined buzz, Buzzy set off. She flew past the familiar clover patches and the dwindling dandelion fields. She soared higher and farther than ever before. The world below looked like a giant green blanket stitched with colorful threads of flowers. She followed a winding river, its cool mist tickling her antennae. She zipped over a sleepy old tortoise who barely looked up from his leafy lunch. The sun was high in the sky, and Buzzy was starting to feel a little tired, but the thought of her hive and the queen's words kept her going. Suddenly, the sky began to change. The bright, friendly sun disappeared behind a wall of dark, heavy clouds. A cool wind whipped through the air, making it hard for Buzzy's little wings to keep her steady. The other bees, who had been foraging nearby, sensed the danger and quickly turned back toward the hive. "Hurry, Buzzy! A storm is coming," one of them called out to her. But Buzzy had spotted something in the distance. A flash of brilliant color, unlike any she had seen before. She hesitated for just a moment. Her instincts told her to fly home, to seek the safety of the hive. But her curiosity and her desire to help were stronger. She decided to take a quick look, just one little peek before heading back. As she flew closer, the wind grew stronger, and fat raindrops began to fall. The colors she had seen were a vast, hidden field of wildflowers, tucked away behind a tall ridge of hills. There were purple asters, golden sunflowers, and bright red poppies, all swaying in the wind, their heads heavy with nectar. It was a paradise for a honeybee. Buzzy was so amazed by the sight that she didn't notice how quickly the storm had rolled in. The wind howled, and the rain came down in sheets. It was impossible to fly. Buzzy was tossed and tumbled through the air. She tried to fight against the gale, but she was too small and the storm was too powerful. With a final, desperate buzz, she was thrown against the thick stalk of a large sunflower. Drenched and exhausted, she clung on, her tiny heart pounding. The world was a blurry mess of rain and wind. She was all alone, far from her home, and scared. As she shivered on the sunflower stalk, she felt a wave of despair. Maybe she shouldn't have been so adventurous. Maybe she should have listened and gone back with the others. But then, she looked around at the incredible field of flowers. Even in the storm, it was beautiful. She thought about her hive, running out of food. This field could save them all. That thought gave her a new surge of strength. She wasn't just a lost little bee, she was a scout who had found a treasure. She just had to survive the storm and find her way back. The storm raged for what felt like an eternity. Buzzy huddled under a large sunflower leaf, which acted as a small umbrella, protecting her from the worst of the rain. She watched as lightning flashed across the sky and thunder rumbled in the distance. To keep her spirits up, she started to hum the little songs the worker bees would sing as they made honey. She hummed about sunshine, sweet nectar, and the warmth of the hive. The humming made her feel a little less alone and a lot more brave. Finally, as dawn approached, the storm began to subside. The wind died down to a gentle breeze, and the rain softened to a light drizzle. A sliver of golden light appeared on the horizon, pushing the dark clouds away. The sun rose, casting a warm, beautiful glow over the rain-washed world. The wildflowers sparkled with raindrops, looking like they were covered in millions of tiny diamonds. Buzzy stretched her stiff wings and took a tentative flight. They worked. She was weak, but she could fly. Now came the hardest part, finding her way home. The storm had completely disoriented her. Everything looked different. She flew up high, trying to get her bearings. She looked for the winding river she had followed, but she couldn't see it. She looked for the sleepy tortoise, but he was long gone. For a moment, panic set in again. What if she could never find her way back? What if her discovery was all for nothing? But Buzzy was not a bee who gave up easily. She remembered something an older bee once told her: "The sun is your best compass, little one." She looked at the rising sun in the east. She knew her hive was roughly to the west of where she had started. So, with the sun behind her, she started flying in the direction she hoped was home. She flew over unfamiliar trees and across streams she didn't recognize. She was hungry and tired, but she kept going, driven by the image of her family. After what seemed like hours, she spotted a familiar landmark, a tall, crooked oak tree that stood at the edge of her home meadow. A wave of relief washed over her. She was almost there. With renewed energy, she buzzed as fast as her tired wings could carry her. She saw the hive in the distance, a welcome sight. She flew straight to the entrance, where the guards, surprised to see her, let her pass. Inside, the hive was buzzing with worry. Everyone thought Buzzy had been lost in the storm. The queen bee rushed to greet her. "Buzzy, You're safe, she exclaimed. Buzzy, exhausted but triumphant, landed before the queen. Your Majesty, she buzzed, her voice filled with excitement. I found it. A new field. It's huge, and it's full of the most wonderful flowers. The other bees gathered around, listening in amazement as Buzzy described the hidden paradise. At first, some bees were skeptical. A field that large, so close? But the queen saw the truth and determination in Buzzy's eyes. Show us, she commanded. Buzzy, despite her exhaustion, led a party of scout bees out of the hive. She flew with a newfound confidence, retracing her path back to the crooked oak tree and then towards the ridge of hills. And there it was. The hidden field, shimmering in the morning sun, just as Buzzy had described. From that day on, the bees of the hive had a new and plentiful source of nectar. The hive thrived, and its honey stores were always full. Buzzy became a legend. The other young bees looked up to her, eager to hear her stories of adventure. Buzzy continued to explore, but now she was a respected scout, leading foraging parties to new and exciting places. She had learned that being brave didn't mean not being scared, it meant being scared but doing the right thing anyway. And so, the brave little honeybee lived happily, her buzz a cheerful reminder that curiosity and courage can lead to the most wonderful discoveries.